a set of videos to accompany our latest CD, which is called Evening Star. The Yiddish song that you heard in the video is a Gute Vokh, a good week, a healthy week. It's a blessing for the end of the Sabbath, which basically describes the most essential needs and what's most important in life, which is basically that we're all healthy and that we have food to eat, clothes to wear, Kiddush wine to make a toast, and candles for the Havdalah service, which ends the Sabbath. And just thinking about health and what's most essential in life seemed like a really timely message for this period. We're all sheltering in place due to a global pandemic. So Kelly Atkins, who's also in the chat with us, has really just risen to this amazing challenge of becoming KITKA's media maven and working with filmmakers and making films herself to generate content where we can share our music during this time where we can't gather together, sing together, and share our music in the same room with the audiences that we love so much. So we approached Bogdan initially, I think it was a year or two ago now, to create videos to go with some of our Bulgarian repertoire, because as Bogdan mentioned, we got to know each other through my husband, Rumen Shopov, who's a Bulgarian traditional multi-instrumentalist, who appeared in a film that Bogdan made called Tazi Baba, which is about Baba Penka, a beautiful Bulgarian grandmother immigrant living in the Seattle area who's a treasure trove of traditional folk songs. And I highly, highly recommend this film. It's just such a beautiful portrait of such a beautiful woman. And so I sort of fell in love with Bogdan's mode of storytelling through this film. And then he's also done films about the kaval as a Bulgarian folk flute. And recently, a beautiful sort of semi-autobiographical movie about a recent trip that he had made back to his homeland after many years called There. So I highly recommend all of these things. So we had plans to work with Bogdan to come down to the Bay Area and to film us and to make an actual sort of concept-driven music video, but then COVID happened, and obviously we couldn't do that. And I actually got an idea of how we might be able to still create something with Bogdan directing us remotely. And I confess that the idea was sort of a steal from a video concept that I had seen made by a group that we're friendly with from Ukraine called Dacha Bracha. They produced a video which basically showed a bunch of different people in the isolations of their own homes doing the same tasks. So everybody was making tea in their own way with their own unique teapot and their own unique teacup, or everybody was ironing their shirt or feeding their cat. And I thought, this is such an interesting window into everyday life and, the things that we're all doing that are the same but different. And so I sort of showed this film to Kelly and said, well, what if we did something along these lines with Bogdan? And fortunately, he was game and agreed to sort of direct us remotely. And what we did was a survey of all of our singers saying, what is something that you do in your home that feels essential, that feels cozy, that feels intimate, that's somewhat universal, and that this song and the sentiment of the song makes you think of. And everybody just submitted a list of tasks. So for me, for example, making borscht feels very like loving and caretaking and nourishing and grounding. And so I said, I'd like to make borscht. Someone else wanted to play with their cats. Janet was playing with her cats. Maybe each KITKA person can say, what their activity was, and what it evokes for them. And then Bogdan, through Zoom and through telephones and all sorts of jerry-rigged communication devices, was directing a person who was in each singer's social bubble. In my case, it was my husband, Rumen, to film me on my iPhone. And he would say, zoom in on that carrot, or zoom in as she's scrubbing the veggies in the sink. And through these very homemade kind of collaged materials, he wove this very beautiful story. So I think with that, maybe I'll turn it over to other KITKA singers. We call each other KITKATs in the house. And maybe they can say something about the activity that they chose to do and sort of how it reflects sort of their life in quarantine. I'm going to start with Kelly.
I knew it. I knew you were going to start with me. Oh my gosh, it was such a pleasure to work with Bogdan. I was sort of thinking, how are we going to do this? And it was sort of like having him in the room. It was amazing. So I had my computer set up, and the phone sort of set up so he could see what he needed to direct. And what I chose was playing music with my husband, who's also a musician, and playing with my new puppy, making some banana bread, listening to some music, just sort of things. We have sort of a little small house that has a big open plan, so everything we do is sort of with everybody else all the time. So it was fun. It was plus I got 2 banana bread loaves out of the shoot, which was really great. And my son actually made an appearance, which was really cool. He made an appearance stirring the banana bread batter. So thank you, Bogdan. It was a real pleasure. Okay, Janet, you're next.
I thought you might pick me, Kelly. I had a good time doing this. It was really cool. I'd never met Bogdan, and there he was all of a sudden on FaceTime on my husband's phone. We were outside in the backyard, and the idea was that our cats were supposed to perform, but that didn't necessarily work out so well right at the beginning. But during the pandemic, the cats have been such a big part of our lives, and maybe other people with pets are experiencing the same thing. Before the pandemic, so many people came through our house, and the cats were, knew so many other people, and now it's different. They don't see anybody but us, and they're probably sick of us, but they're also really spoiled, and so that was the task that I decided would be the best one to do. And I didn't discuss it with the cats, and they weren't ready to perform when we had Bogdan on the phone directing us. But they did a little bit later, and it was so fun. I'd never done anything like that before. My other task was mending the fence, or pretending to mend the fence, which my husband had a good laugh over, because I've probably never really actually mended a fence in our backyard my whole life. But I really tried to act my best to pretend like I was actually mending one. Katya, why don't you tell us about what you were doing?
Hi, y'all. I'm Katya. And I got to work with Bogdan, I think, first. And it was a kind of rainy day in Berkeley, which we hadn't been having a lot of. And we were worried about that. But I have the pleasure of living in this house with a backyard that has all of these overhangs. So we kind of got to be out in the rain filming, which added to kind of the magical experience that this was. And my roommate helped film, and we had me outside drawing. So I took a drawing that I had actually made a few years ago in my partner's yard of a beautiful tobacco plant that he had grown. And I got to play around adding to that and shading it in. And it was fun because my roommate does a lot of audiovisual stuff. So he got super into it and doing the different angles and coming around the sides. And then we filmed me doing my true favorite quarantine activity that I do every night. And on occasion, when it's a KITKA only Zoom meeting, I will do this during our Zoom meeting, which is we have an outdoor bathtub. So I love to take baths out there, and I can set the Zoom up just right here and take a bath with everybody and hang out. So Bogdan filmed me in there, and he gave such great directions for what to think about and how to go about doing that. And then we ended with a scene of me fully submerging, and I sat up and coughed up a bunch of water, but I think that you gracefully decided not to include that in the video. So thank you. Yeah, and I'll go over to Maclovia.
Thanks, Katya. Hi, everyone. My name's Maclovia. Yes, I was similar to what other folks said. I had anticipated that this filming process would feel like really impossible and difficult, and it actually didn't at all. I mean, to be fair, my husband Adam was doing most of the filming, but it felt like it went so smoothly, and it was like, oh, great, this is all really doable. So I was filmed in my backyard, looking out over the yard and looking out at this big tree that's in my neighbor's yard. I've spent a lot of time in the backyard since March, and I've found myself wondering, like, did I even go out in my backyard ever prior to shelter in place? I have no memory of being in the backyard at all prior to March. So I'm really grateful to have that space, because we've spent a lot of time back there. And then I was also filmed playing music with my husband, Adam. He plays oud and I play frame drum. And we finally, a couple of months into shelter in place, just realized we had to like schedule time to play music together, because we kept saying we would do it. We'd be like, oh yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. And then we just kept saying that. So now we have a regular, on Monday evenings, we play music together. And our dog Layla made a cameo in there as well. And I will pass it to Bridget.
Hello, I'm Erin. I wanted to be filmed in my backyard, where I also spend a lot of time because it's much larger than my actual house, with my two daughters who are 4 and 7. And they basically upstaged me and took over. And my older daughter decides she wants to be an actress. And she was like, Bogdan, I think this shot is good, right? With me in the tree, like looking up at the sun. So it was just as I planned, that they would sort of take over and I would just push them on the swing. And yeah, it has been fun to just be connected, to have people like at my work and at my kids' school say like, oh, I watched I'm watching the videos. It's so fun. Or, oh, I saw that video. Is that your pomegranate tree in your backyard? And the kids just want to watch that video. Day 10. Can we watch KITKA 10 again? Like over and over and over again. but I also I couldn't imagine how it was all going to be put together, because we just did our own little chunks, and then I didn't see anything, at least until we saw the complete video, and it's just so beautiful, and I think it goes with the song. It like draws out the song in this really beautiful way also. So I am a convert to this kind of thing. I was sort of skeptical of how it was going to work, like some other people said, but seeing the final product has felt really exciting. Thanks. Hannah.
Hi, everybody. I hope that I'm audible. I was having some technical difficulties earlier. Okay, I think I am. Hello there. This process was just totally a joy. I didn't really know what to expect. I usually, for better and for worse, just have total dumb faith in anything that Kelly Atkins tells me to do. Usually if she tells me to do something, I just think, oh, it'll work out. And it's never steered me wrong. So when she said, we're going to be doing a video shoot remotely, I was like, okay, cool. Tell me what to do, Kelly. And she did, and it worked out. And it was super fun. It was definitely, sort of a geometry problem of figuring out, okay, here's the laptop and here's the phone, and Bogdan, can you see that? And holding my phone in front of the computer, I'm fortunate that I have a friend who is in my little pod. I live alone right now. I'm actually in New Orleans, and I came down here to do some dance, music, integrated creative discovery with a dear friend of mine who has since gone back to the Bay Area. But I was in a dancing mood, and that was a big part of how I was taking care of myself and my body and my mind during this strange time of isolation. So I thought I would maybe do some gentle stretching, but then my friend Hao, who was filming me, he was like, Hannah, that looks great, and just inspired me to do some more twirling around and taking up a lot more space. So it was really fun. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to use this beautiful room, this studio space in the house, and yeah, it was really great. Thanks you so much, Bogdan, and thank you, Kelly, and all of the KitKats. It's been such a pleasure. Who hasn't sung yet? For everybody, Lily hasn't. Okay.
Is that everyone? Yeah. So I know we have
I
at
can
least
go if you.
Yeah, you guys would say Dan. Dan is here.
Oh, there you are. Hey.
I just had to download the app. You can hear me, yeah?
So this is Dan Cantrell, who is the accordion player on the track. Also an amazing Balkan musician and kind of transcultural musician and composer. And yeah, so great to have you here, Dan.
Yeah, thanks. It's nice to see all you guys. Yeah, it was a real treat to work with y'all. I wish I could have seen you in person. But yeah, I was a little confused at first. Because that whole thing about like playing an instrument and like, is the audience going to see your fingers doing the right thing or the wrong thing? So it kind of like lip synced to the track a couple times, and but I was focusing on getting the light just right. My apartment, you get a nice view of the sunset, so I tried to get it at the right time, and Bogdan asked me to get some reflections from the keys, and so I tried to like sync it up as much as I could, and yeah, it was really fun. I didn't get to do a around the house task, which I'll trade off for you could play accordion around the house, that sort of a thing.
Can I jump in? Can I just jump in? I'll jump in. Are you done, Dan?
I'm done. Thanks.
I just wanted
now to you, Janet.
I was just remembering when we recorded the cut on the CD, and you added that accordion tag at the end, and it was the coolest thing in the world, because it was just this tag that you added to the song, and We had never heard it before. And furthermore, you had never heard it before because you were sort of just making it up on the spot. And we were so excited about it. And I love the way Bogdan speeded up everybody's task at the end a little bit while the accordion went a little bit crazy there and everybody started moving quickly. I thought that was so cool, Bogdan, that you did that. And I thought it was cool when you did it originally, Dan, in the studio, the recording studio.
Thank you. It was neat. Didn't it? The whole thing sort of end with the kid in the tree. I thought that was really cute.
And who knew that Ada could climb down a tree so quickly? It's amazing. She's like a superhero.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of the tree and Ada, I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully, you can see what I'll share with you here in a moment. So here we go. Can you see this? I can't see your face because I'm sharing my screen.
That's amazing.
Yes.
We see it.
Okay, perfect. So I'll talk over it for a little bit. So this is the drawing I got from Ada after we got done filming. So I received this on the next day, and it put a huge smile on my face. Just the experience actually of filming, to see how engaged everyone was, to work with 10 different people who were filming was, I've never done anything like that before. So to have 10 camera operators working with me was just really fantastic. But to see how engaged they got into the whole process, and to see how much fun Ada was having and how much fun other people were having filming and moving with the camera, which just gave me actually a lot of hope and made me super happy that in this time, I'll stop sharing, but in this time of, everybody being at home, how we actually can still find ways to be together and be creative and continue to make art. So that was just very special for me. So thank you for that drawing, Erin, for sending it to me.
Bogdan, I want you to know that my cats are also working on a drawing, but it takes them a little longer because they don't have opposable thumbs.
I'm excited to see that. Well, maybe we should open it to the guests. It would be wonderful to have the guests. Again, welcome to all of our guests and everyone that's listening to the podcasts. We are here at filmabee.com/KITKA, and FilmaBee is a site for us, created for all of us to get together in this kind of fashion, to break the fourth wall between fans and artists, and to just engage with each other. So thank you everyone for being here. And like I said, I'd love to open it to the audience for questions, or for anybody really, questions or comments.
I have a question. George here, hailing from Seattle. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is from my rudimentary German. I wonder if the title of the song sounds like some kind of German, but not correctly right. Is that some dialect or something else? Because what I recall from German, Wick is Woche and gut is guten, but that is kind of a different.
Thank you for your question.
Yeah, I can address that one. So the text of the song is actually in Yiddish, which is the language of the Eastern European Jewish people, but it is of Germanic origin. And so that's why you're hearing so many things that sound very close to German. So Gute is good, Vokh, weak. Yeah, so what you're here, your ear was not deceiving you.
I see.
And we have a question actually in the chat, and Mitko is asking it, and he's saying, did you select Gute Vokh, or were there other runner-ups to the song?
think we selected a Gute Vokh partially as a contrast from the previous video that Bogdan had made, which was a Bulgarian choral piece, but also, I'm not sure if you're all aware, but KITKA has been doing a month-long series of daily online musical offerings designed to summon harmony, healing, and hope in these tumultuous times. And we wanted to do an offering specifically for Hanukkah. So we chose this Yiddish song as representative of the Jewish tradition, and also a good week. Hanukkah lasts for 8 days, so it's kind of an extended week. So we debuted the song the first night of Hanukkah, which was the 10th of December. And Hanukkah is just wrapping up around now. So it's perfect that we're bringing it full circle with the watch party tonight. And I also just think there was something about the text of a Gute Vokh, this focus on a good week is a healthy week where we have exactly what we need, exactly what we desire, no more, no less, just the things that we need to do to sort of keep our spiritual center in life. So I think that's why we sent it. And as far as the runner-ups, we've got lots of runner-ups, and as soon as this quarantine period is over, we're going to be flying Bogdan down here and making more music videos. Hopefully all of our partners haven't put Bogdan out of work with their camera work. I don't think so.
No, it's been great. And actually what I would love is, I would love to come down and film you in your beautiful costumes. I think that anybody that goes to kitka.org, right, will be able to see just these different photographs with absolutely stunning costumes. And for a film director like me, and that's just a no-brainer to go and film. I also want to just add one thing about Dan, the accordion player, that we actually met years ago, and we had kind of I remember that we had met, but when we weren't originally planning to film the accordion player, and then on Sunday I think Kelly went, "Hey Bogdan, how about we film Dan?" And I said, "Of course, that would be amazing to get the accordion there." So I'm so glad that after I think 6 or 7 years, Dan and I reconnected in this way. So thank you, Dan, for being a part of it. And I'm sorry that I didn't make you do tasks around the house, but
No problem.
I think that you were just right.
Thank you. That was really fun. And I'm glad we finally connected to create a project together.
Definitely.
I just
Here's
wanted
one
to.
more question from me.
Oh, go for it.
It looks like most of you are like English as a first language speakers. So I'm wondering, because I've listened to other choirs here that perform Bulgarian and Eastern European songs, and I was impressed with the quality of pronunciation that they get when they sing, particularly in languages that have Germanic and Slavic origin that are notoriously most harder for the English-speaking people to master. So I wonder, how do you do your sound work, your voice work, so that you get the authentic sound of the language in these songs? How difficult, what kind of challenge it is to achieve that native sound in the words of the song? So you actually understand what is the text saying, because some of the songs, particularly the folk songs that I've heard in Bulgarian, they are dialects, and these dialects even they use dialect words that are even not known to many Bulgarians. And my take on it is that it's really difficult to pass on the feelings when you sing something if you don't understand. You can pronounce a word, but you may have no clue of what is the context in them. So I was wondering if you get translations of these words, because some of them are very, very odd in terms of like maybe some village tool or something like this, or some custom that is only available in certain region, things that are very strange even to Bulgarians. So I was wondering if you get to work with people that put everything in context for you when you perform. So you mentioned that KITKA has been in existence for 30 years or so, 40 years.
Going on
That's where my
41.
next, that's impressive. That's where my next question comes in regards to this, because the local, one of the local founders of Radost Folk Ensemble, Tom, who passed away, mentioned to me that because of the political situation and things like this, when they started the ensemble in Seattle area, they have never seen a live Bulgarian. So they didn't know what their name, the chosen name meant, Radost. They just picked it because the sound was very, very good to their ears. So I wonder, wasn't that a challenge before the changes in Eastern Europe when Bulgarians? I personally had never seen a live American when I was living in Bulgaria during the time of the socialism. So I wondered if that cultural exchange and the ability, because now there are many more opportunities for you to speak to people that directly work with the Bulgarian folk and get the gist, get the genuine stuff. Was that any problem in the past when the cultural exchange wasn't that easy?
We can hear. You have to you on mute.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, so I remember in 1988, I had just joined KITKA. I was 22 years old. And like Bridget was saying, really my gateway was just hearing this music and just falling in love head over heels with these sonorities. And it was almost like I had no choice but to follow this music and learn everything that I could about it. But at the time, the Iron Curtain was still hanging strong, and nobody in the Bay Area knew of sort of a native Bulgarian folk singer in the community. And I remember in 1988, when the Bulgarian State Radio and Television Female Vocal Choir was coming on their first US tour to promote the album, which became world famous as Les Mystères du Voix Bulgare. I said to Bon Brown, who was then KITKA's director, this whole choir of Bulgarian singers is coming to Berkeley. We have to meet them. We have to connect with them. And I just remember the discussions about it. Well, how are we going to communicate with them? How none of us speak Bulgarian. It's going to be so awkward. And I said, we just have to make lots of food and have plenty of whiskey and just extend hospitality and trust that will make a connection through music. And we did that. They showed up in a bus, and we took them to a Montessori school up in the hills of El Cerrito, and we had made big vats of lamb stew and bought lots of Jack Daniels, and by the end of the evening, after we had all loosened up a little bit, we were hard, fast friends. We did also comb Northern California for anybody that we knew who spoke Bulgarian, and I think there were maybe 3 people that we could think of who showed up at the party. Karen Guggenheim Matchless, who was a wonderful Santa Cruz-based American woman gaidar, who we sadly lost not too long ago. Bruce Cochran, who's still a member of the community, and then there was a man named Vlad, who came from I don't know where, who spoke Bulgarian. I think he was an engineer or something that somebody knew from some other county, and he showed up at the party too. And but really, the connection was forged when we sang together, and years later, every time the choir came on tour, we would reconnect with them. And then in, I think it was 2002, is that right? We actually traveled to Bulgaria. It wasn't our first trip to Bulgaria, but we were there invited to sing at that choir's 50th anniversary gala concert at the National Palace of Culture in Sofia. And that was really an amazing experience. And so really through the connections with that choir, which then produced ripple effects with other Bulgarian singers from different folklore regions, we've had a chance to really forge connections. And then some of us ended up marrying a Bulgarian and learning to speak Bulgarian out of domestic necessity. And it's been a journey, but I think it's really just the magic that's inherent in the music that brings us all to it. And also, I think to elaborate on what Bridget said about the languages, I think because we're musicians, our ears are accustomed to being like fine-tuned to sonic nuance. And I think that puts us in a better kind of predisposition for really studying the sounds of these various languages that we sing in. And I also think a requirement for joining KITKA is that you have to be a little bit of a language geek yourself and be willing to kind of really stretch your comfort zone in your mind, because I think our current repertoire is probably in more than 30 languages. We sing music from all over the Balkans, all over Slavic lands, Caucasus, and points beyond. So I think just the love for language is part of it.
Thank you so much, Shira, and thank you, George, for your questions. And I want to invite other guests here to ask any questions about the music video, ask KITKA anything that they might want to. And I just, while people maybe think of a question, want to say that I do really appreciate, as a Bulgarian, your approach to really honoring our language and our heritage, and doing diligent work to make sure that you are not singing a song and your body language is all happy when the song is actually about something that is of a grave matter. Because I've seen this kind of performances, and for us Bulgarians, they just, we can't connect to them. So thank you for all the work you do in that. Are there any other questions from anybody or from KITKA? I know that Hannah wanted to say something earlier.
Yeah, I was just thinking when I finally got to watch the video. So I filmed it, and it was really hot few days, and it was so much fun. I find that I'm just such a simple animal, and when it's warm out, I feel pretty content. And when it's cold out, especially during this time of social distancing, it's a lot harder to stay afloat, just stay totally positive every day. And the day when it finally came out, it was during a really, really cold week here in New Orleans. It does get cold. I know, not really cold for my colleague in Chicago, plug your ears, but it was just, enough to get a little chill on. And just watching us all do our sort of our Sabbath activities and getting these little windows into my dear friends and colleagues' homes, into the things that we do to take care of ourselves, it kind of helped me think about this time of isolation as sort of an extended form of Sabbath, and to kind of think about, okay, we're stuck inside. Well, what are the things that people have been doing for time immemorial to make time spent inside feel cultivated and nourishing? And I just really appreciated that it kind of helped me to reframe my personal feelings of isolation into this kind of more Sabbath-like, okay, well, maybe I'll take some time to do these rituals of taking a bath, or of, I guess I wish I had a cat to play with. I would certainly do that ritual quite a lot. But of moving in the room and dancing with my pod mates and cooking, and we have ways of keeping ourselves warm, and they are handed down through our ancestors and through the songs, and they live in our bodies when we allow this time of internal to just be kind of comforting. So I appreciated that, and I don't know if anyone intended it to be that way, but that was how I interpreted it when I watched the video. It's not necessarily how I thought of it beforehand, but anyway, I thought it helped me.
The testament to Bogdan. Thank you, Bogdan, for putting that message out in the world. I think everybody needs to hear it.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you to all of you. It was just, like I said, for your willingness to make that happen. And I'll tell an interesting story. My mom actually overheard me while I was directing you over Zoom. And because each session was about an hour and a half long, and then she said that it was really engaging because it sounded, my mom lives in the same building we do. And she said it sounded like an audio play, the directing. And because I have a really loud voice and I get very passionate when I direct. So it was, that tells you how much fun I had. But then again, just everyone really opened up, and to open up your homes like that was very special. And I know that Hannah's friend who filmed, it was just such a joy actually to work with everyone, but also with him. He was just having so much fun moving with the camera, and we were joking. They put me in the closet. I said, you put me in the closet, and then they'll shove me in the closet with the computer, and then I'll be able to have a view of what was going on. And that repeated with the different singers. So it was really fascinating. And actually with my filmmaker friends now, I joke, I say, hey, all these people that got to film this, they'll never film anything on their phone the same way. They're now completely changed. So we as filmmakers have done something for the art of filmmaking, and for people to just we're giving something of ourselves back. And to me, it feels great to give back, and I'm so glad that KITKA thought of me to direct this. So thank you, KITKA. And again, I want to invite our guests. You can ask questions in the chat, on the stream, or you can turn on your mic and ask a question here. And we'll probably wrap it up pretty soon. We've been on since 7.
If there's no one else, I have another question. Like, the discussion just streams my mind into something. There was, you probably have heard about Timothy Rice, who is an ethnomusicologist from, I think he works in UCLA or somewhere there. He spent some time in Bulgaria, and he researched the Bulgarian bagpipe, which I play myself, and wrote a book. And the book was very interesting when I read it, because it gave the interpretation of the American view, of a foreigner's view of the Bulgarian traditional culture and how we are seen from outside. So one of the things that he pointed out, and that we know as Bulgarians, is that female choirs in Bulgaria, like that setting where the Bulgarian women will sit together down and they will work on their like embroidery or something like this, and they will sing together, is not just a singing experience. It's a spiritual experience that has its roots into the culture of the region that in most cases was very painful. I would say it like this. It was some kind of a psychotherapy, a group therapy, put it this way. So in regards, like both me and Bogdan are performers of various instruments, and performing an instrument is kind of a self-pleasure because you play music to yourself. You don't need a band to play it. Dancing is different because dancing you have the connection. But I wonder, in a female choir, how much of your experience is because of your community sense of being together and sharing the song, and how much of that is lost into the quarantine mode where people may sing under the shower or something like this. It's a classical scene where you sing to yourself under the shower, or you dance under the shower. So how much of that dynamics has changed because of the quarantine? Do you sing by yourself at home? Something that I caught my daughter doing sometimes. She never wants to sing in front of me, but when she's alone, she sings. Or you kind of miss the spirit of unitedness, the spirit where you kind of in a female way share, and that sharing results in a kind of how to say a healing experience. I would say something like this.
Thank you, George. Yeah,
I can
thank
answer
you.
that one from my perspective, but I'm sure it's pretty different for each of us. But it's interesting that you brought that up because I have sung in many different groups and many types of music all throughout my life. So I assumed, okay, I can never imagine a time or a part of my life and identity that's without singing. But I've been really shocked to find that when I'm not meeting with others and not having harmony and this experience of communal sharing that I feel like KITKA is to all of us, that's more than just a group that makes music, but is really about the community and family that we've built with each other. I've really struggled to sing and I've really missed it. I can feel that I need to do it. And feels like this kind of achy feeling, but I don't find myself doing it, or I feel like without these kind of crunchy harmonies that we're all so in it for, it's really hard to find time for it. But all that being said, I feel like this Winter Songs experience, Kelly and Bridget, and there was a bunch of folks in our group who really kept the faith, I feel, and pushed us to do a lot of this remote recording. And I feel like it has really opened me up to something that I didn't expect, and learning that I can find a way to make music by myself, like you spoke about, you feel like you get to do whenever you're playing. And that's been a real gift of this moment, is to feel like I kind of came through the darkness and I'm back out to being like, it won't ever be the same as when I'm in person and with my other singers, but this feeling of doing something in your own home and then watching it come together and making harmony that way has also been really, really amazing. But I don't know if other folks have different experiences.
Yeah, I'd love to. It's just the first thing I thought of actually is when we got to, because we have gotten together a few times outside with masks on. We have these special singers masks that are sort of constructed specifically for singers that sort of help with resonance and not feeling like when you're breathing, you're not breathing your mask into your mouth. But we got together outside and did some sort of distance singing music videos. And the first time we did that, we all burst into tears. And it was so intense. Like I mean, even thinking about it right now, I'm getting like chills because, and I actually do a lot of singing at home and recording for other people. So I've been singing. I've actually probably done more singing during quarantine than I have in a long time, but that's by myself. And I didn't realize how much I really missed being in a space with other people and that connection and that harmony live until we got into that little forest grove and started singing, and all were just they got so choked up we had to stop because we were crying. It was so intense. And yeah, we've still been meeting at least once a week, and on Zoom and sort of connecting. We're still creating things together. But when we've actually gotten together on the rare occasion and actually sung outside, I think it's just reminded us of what you're talking about. The sort of the therapy and the spiritual experience of being together and breathing together and listening together, and connecting in that way. It's the most powerful thing, I think. And yeah, we miss it a lot.
Actually, I just want to, before somebody goes on, I just want to welcome Penka Encheva, this Baba. Actually, I just saw her join in. So I'll just switch to Bulgarian and really quick. And благодаря, че си тук, Баба Пенка. И ако имаш въпрос, го задай на български, аз ще го преведа. So that's it. I said what I needed to say to her. And then I interrupted somebody. So go ahead and continue.
I was totally done.
I was going to just say something really quickly, which is that I think everybody in the world has been learning things about themselves and other people, and a little bit about how the world runs during this pandemic period. And I think musicians have been learning a lot about their love for music and the ways they can make music with other people and what that means to them. And I think that one thing that I found really inspiring and great is that during this whole time of the pandemic, we've been meeting regularly, and it's not the same as the kind of regularly that we meet when we can sing together. That's more frequent. It's like a couple times a week, and then sometimes even more. And this, but we have managed to meet every week on our rehearsal nights. This is one of our rehearsal nights, and we've been meeting on Zoom, and I feel like we've learned a lot about each other and our connection to each other by not being able to sing necessarily. And they're just ways of listening to each other that are different, that I feel like we've experimented with. And times when we've made up for lost time talking, because often when we're rehearsing, we can't talk. We're busy. We have concerts to rehearse for, and we don't have time to really check in with each other. So that's been really neat. And the ones of us who sometimes, like yours truly, myself, talk too much, I feel like it's been a good idea to be able to put me on mute and listen to somebody else in the group who doesn't talk as much usually. And also the fact that when we have sung together, it's difficult to, because of the latency in the sound, it's difficult to sing at the same time together. On Zoom, you cancel each other out, etc. But when we have found ways to sing, sneaky ways to sing, one at a time, going through the group, or telling the story of our week by singing it to each other and things like that, I feel like it's been really neat to hear our individual voices in a new way.
Thank you so much. I want to say we have Ian from England, UK, and it's, I think, 4 a.m. there, and he's watching the live stream. So thank you, Ian, for joining us. That's fantastic. Do we have any other questions from the audience or the ladies? So otherwise, maybe we should wrap it up. And I know that Bridget wanted to play another music video, correct? Sure.
And I know I'm not able to be heard on StreamYard, so I'm going to say that again. I see one question here. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's Shira Mendez de Leon, but you have to unmute yourself.
There's a little microphone at the bottom of your screen, and if you click on that, you should be unmuted.
Let's see if I can.
Oh, it's to the right of the hand. Well, maybe she can ask the question in the chat.
Or Bridget, can you unmute her from your?
I don't think I can.
Yeah, actually, this we don't have the option to unmute her for privacy reasons from this platform. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, so I'm sorry that we can't hear you, but you can ask your question in the chat, or if you know anybody of the KITKAs, maybe in a different way. There she's waving. Oh, that's so kind. And again, I invite you all to check out the music videos, check out kitka.org, come back to filmabee.com. And if you have any ideas of how we can keep coming together like this in conversation, in live streams, please share them with me, share them with Kitka, so that we can continue to bring music, art, and light to the world.
Beautiful. And if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, stay tuned. And we're going to play the first video that we did with Bogdan, and then I'll play a Gute Vokh a second time so that the audio actually works this time.
Yeah, and if you are in this meeting, you can, on this page, you can scroll down and watch it here. Or if you click under the director tab, which is my name, you can actually watch the first video that we're going to play in the live stream here on this page as well. But I think we're wrapping up this meeting here on Jitsi, so enjoy the music videos on the live stream. And thank you everyone who joined us today. It was really fantastic.
Thank you. It was
Thank
amazing.
you. Woohoo!
Momci Koledarci, drugi drumovali, drugi drumovali, Boga Bogovali. Momci Koledarci, drugi drumovali, drugi drumovali, Boga Bogovali. Noștri prefalili, drumi potapkali, drumi potapkali, biegi polomili. Dojas noștri, noștri polonoștri, dojas noștri, noștri polonoștri. Ura Vitorove, nascan starinika, pesni poplejali, mori, pesni koledarski. Seras veseli, ainda de dani, ainda de dani, Momci Koledarci. Seras veseli, ainda de dani, ainda de dani, Momci Koledarci. seras veseli.
A gute Vokh, a gesunde Vokh, oi wünschen mir zu allein und zu aller feine gute Leid, welche seinen alle doch. Gesund soll mir sein, trinken will mir Wein, diesen weißen Tod allein. Gesund soll mir sein, trinken will mir Wein, diesen weißen Tod allein. Ui Gott soll geben zu jedem einem, was bedarf noch sein Verlang. Ui lechem lechoil beged lilboish, wie ein kiddush lehavdol. Gesund soll mir sein, trinken will mir Wein, diesen weißen Tod allein. Gesund soll mir sein, trinken will mir Wein, diesen weißen Tod allein. Gesund soll mir sein, trinken will mir Wein, diesen weißen Tod allein. Gesund soll mir sein, trinken will mir Wein, diesen weißen Tod allein. Gesund soll mir sein, trinken will mir Wein, diesen weißen Tod allein. Gesund soll mir sein, trinken will mir Wein, diesen weißen Tod allein. Gesund soll mir sein, trinken will mir Wein, diesen weißen Tod allein. Gesund soll mir sein, trinken will mir Wein, diesen weißen Tod allein. Gesund soll mir sein, trinken will mir Wein, diesen weißen Tod allein. Gesund soll mir sein, trinken will mir Wein, diesen weißen Tod allein.